a prayer like that. I feel like the expectation just got risen. Well, good morning again. Good morning to our friends online. I was speaking with Connie this week earlier, and it was like, I have not been able to land. I've not been able to land a message or a talk. And so thank you for helping me with that. And she said, what about Advent? Sunday is the beginning of Advent. And I was like, okay, in my mind going, I have no idea about Advent. I wasn't taught this. So I was like, okay, opportunity to learn. So thank you, Connie, for that. So what is Advent? So it's the 4-week period that leads up to Christmas. And many Christians celebrate it as the anticipation of Jesus's birth. And some use it as they're entering a new life as they are accepting Jesus as their Savior. That's their belief. And sometimes it's also the anticipation of Jesus's return. So some definitions that I found for Advent are coming or arrival, expecting something to happen, and a time of waiting. So there's not a lot of history that I could find around Advent and when it began. But what I did find is that it dates back to at least 567, when monks were told to fast during the month of December, leading up to Christmas. And some religions and faiths still do that as part of their practice. They fast in preparation so that they can concentrate and be mindful of the coming of Jesus. So there's many traditions and rituals around Advent. And some of my only introduction was the Advent calendar. I had known about it growing up a little bit, and I had seen friends have it up, or their families had celebrated it. My grandma had one. It was really just, we ate candy. I didn't really know the meaning behind it, but we'd open the little door and I'm like, yeah, candy. I think I even made one in a Sunday school, but that's really what my experience was with the Advent calendar. And in fact, somebody recently just got gifted an Advent calendar, and I was like, oh, how interesting. It keeps coming up. So the Advent calendar spans centuries of church history, and the modern version has been around since about the 19th century. And there's lots of versions. And so some start November 27th and run November 27th through about December 3rd as their start. And some are begin on December 1st. That's when the actual calendar begins. So many Christians use the Advent calendar as a time of remembrance and reflection of the coming of Christ. And others use it as a yearly countdown to Christmas, and maybe using it as a time of spiritual reflection or preparation. And there's variations in this. Some have nativity themes, some have biblical stories or devotionals or prayers, and some just simply have candy. So another tradition that I found that was really interesting, and I had seen them before but never really had an understanding, is the Advent wreath and the candles. And so those appeared first in Germany in 1839, and it was a Lutheran minister who worked at a children's mission, and he created a wreath out of a wheel of a cart. And he took 20 small red candles and placed them in the center, in the ring, and then 4 taller, larger white candles. And the red candles were lit on the weekdays leading up to Christmas, and the white ones were lit on the 4 Sundays. So eventually, wreaths are now made out of evergreens, and that's really to represent the symbol of everlasting life, and because they're continuously green, and a reminder of the divine's unending love and that eternal life is possible. So there's many adaptations. So some light a candle each day of December, and by Christmas they have 24 burning candles. And some traditions light one single candle, and it has marks down the side of it, 24 marks, and they allow that candle to melt down to the next day's mark. In some traditions, all of the candles are white. Some traditions, all of the candles are blue, so it does vary. So each candle during this time represents something different. So often the first, second, and fourth are a purple candle, and the third is a rose or a pink colored candle. So the candles actually correspond to themes of each week, which I thought was really interesting. Maybe some of you know this, but I was just like fascinated. I was like, wow, I had no idea. So the first candle or the first week symbolizes hope, and it's often called the prophet candle. And the prophets of the Old Testament waited in hopes of the Messiah's arrival. And the second represents faith, and it's called the Bethlehem's candle. And that is, it was foretold that the Messiah would be born in Bethlehem. And the third symbolizes joy, and it's called the shepherd's candle. And the shepherds were in great joy as the angels announced that Jesus came from humble people just like them. And the fourth represents peace, and it's called the angel's candle. And the angels announced that Jesus came to bring peace, bringing people close to God and each other again. And then there's an optional fifth candle that some traditions use, and that represents light and purity, and it's called the Christ's candle. And it's often put in the middle of the wreath, and it's actually lit on Christmas Day. So the Advent candles shine brightly in the midst of darkness, symbolizing and reminding that Jesus came as a light in our dark world. So for Christians, Christmas marks the birth of Jesus Christ. And some of us may identify as Christians or believe that Christ or Jesus Christ was a teacher that came here. Some of us lean more into metaphysics, or we have other spiritual beliefs. And for us, it can mark the birth of Christ's consciousness, or that Christ light that is within each of us. So I thought, how can I relate this to what I believe? Because some of this isn't exactly in alignment, maybe of what I was taught years ago, but not where I am now. So I found some passages actually from a Unity Advent devotional, and it's called The Spirit of Christmas. And the writers explore why the ancient celebration of the birth of Christ, of the Christ child, is so meaningful, and why the story of Mary and Joseph and that divine child born in a manger continues to resonate with us for more than 2,000 years. Christmas represents the divine child born in each of us and the divine attributes we develop as we learn to express our God nature in human form. So the 4 Sundays of Advent proclaim aspects of our divine nature: hope, faith, peace, love, and joy. And through prayer and meditations and affirmations, we can use these traditional themes of Advent to discover and reflect the ways that we share our own gift. So week 1 is hope, faith. So most Christians focus on hope during this first week, but we can look at both hope and faith. And it reads, think of a hope-faith continuum. And hope arises when we get a glimpse of a new possibility. And this can inspire us to adopt a new way of thinking, or a new way of believing, a new way of behaving. And when we increase our hope, we enter into the realm of belief. And often we believe because we intellectually understand how things work. We may also believe because it's what we've been taught. But it is possible to have 2 contradictory beliefs at the same time. You know, lots of us have experienced that, and it can challenge us. So if the author says, if we believe in an abundant universe, but sometimes if funds get low, we experience that anxiety. And that can betray that residual belief in lack. So resolving these contradictions is the domain of faith. And it's in that spiritual dimension that we experience faith as a deeper inner knowing arising from the divine intelligence. I'm going to read that again. It's the spiritual dimension that we experience faith as a deeper inner knowing arising from divine intelligence. And the affirmation that goes with week 1 is, I look for many ways the good I see is already mine. So week 2, peace. So often the Christmas story begins with the angel Gabriel telling Mary that she is going to bear a son. And the Gospel of Luke, Jesus' birth story, is similar to that of John the Baptist. Because months before, Angel Gabriel appeared to Zechariah to announce that his wife Elizabeth would bear a son to be named John. But because of Zechariah's age, he questioned the possibility, similar to Mary's response of an unlikely pregnancy. Mary's question was answered, while Zechariah was struck mute through the duration of Elizabeth's pregnancy. The question was the same, but Mary was encouraged while Zechariah gets silenced. All manifestations of life originate in silence. The thoughts that arise in you and come to the surface in deed and act, are they not from silence? So muting that perpetual cycle of thought is a gift that can bring greater peace. We're called to mute our own thoughts. And with quiet minds and open hearts, we can rest in peace. We can rest with peace that goes beyond all understanding. And I affirm the peace of God as my welcomed companion. And the third is love. And Jesus taught us that we should love everyone. Brown, black, white, purple, rich, poor, Democrat, Republican. I know. But Jesus said, we are one in God's love. We are one in God's love. And it's that view of unconditional love that defines the Christ consciousness. I love this quote. It says, there's an incredible sense of power and freedom in both giving and receiving love without condition or expectation. The experience can be so profound that we lose track of whether we are the giver or the receiver. So I receive love graciously and reflect it to the whole world. And the fourth is joy. When we light that candle of joy, we're reminded of the spiritual truth of the season. Unto us a child is born. And the gospel reminds us that through the Christmas story, that when things seem to be dark, joy can come in unexpected ways and in small packages. And children remind us of the joy through playing and learning and loving. When we are in true joy, our inner child can awaken our Christ nature. And as the days get shorter and darker, we can light that candle of joy to remind us of the power and that presence within. And we can celebrate this season with a newfound joy. I relax, release, and enjoy the wonder of the present moment. So as I researched all of this, I thought, how can I implement this into my life? Now that I've said it, now I got to do it, right? I got to walk the talk. And so it really has inspired me to create my own sort of Advent, maybe altar, or my own, in preparation of that, and what that looks like for me, to light those purple candles, to light that pink candle, and just take a moment every morning to just really be in that hope and that faith and that peace and that love and that joy. So may each of you find time to slow down this season as we prepare for Christmas, saying no to the things that distract you from Jesus or from that Christ consciousness, and say yes to the gift that God, the divine, wants you to experience. I'd like to do something just a little different. Instead of doing a meditation, I would just invite you to repeat the 4 affirmations that I shared. And I'll begin. I look for many ways. The good I seek is already mine. I affirm the peace of God as my welcomed companion. I receive love graciously and reflect it to the whole world. I relax, release, and enjoy the wonder of the present moment. That was beautiful. That was so wonderful to have that reflected back to me. So thank you so much. I feel like that kind of was short. There it was. That's all I got. We do have something special, so we have a little bit of time. Offering. Okay, great. So right now is the time for us to for our offering piece of the service. So if you have something to give, whether it's your love, your service, something monetary, we love money. It helps keep the lights on and the heat on, but we are grateful for whatever you can give from your heart. Oh, and PayPal is, if those of you online or here in the chapel that want to give through PayPal, it's paypal.me/homecentersalem.